What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Technician Podcast. Today, I've got Dean Lucas with me. My man, I want to start this with a statement for you, almost like a bit of a quote. The art of kintsugi from Japan, where broken pottery is mended with gold. We too can come back stronger and more beautiful after we've been shattered. It's not the breaking that defines us, but the way we rebuild. Your journey through injury is a testament to that strength. But I'd like to know where you're at today and how much stronger you are because of what you've been through.
Right now, I'm feeling pretty strong. I'm feeling good. But definitely, like you say, that it's like to put those pieces back together is definitely, it's not easy. It's not easy at times. It's always nice looking back and seeing how far you've come. But it's rare we want to put ourselves back in those situations of our lowest point and when we're recovering from an injury. And for anyone listening to this, I had a spinal cord injury where I hit a tree on a mountain bike and was paralyzed for about 20 minutes completely. Thought I'd never walk again. Thought life as I knew it was somewhat over. And coming out of that, not having temperature in my body, not having feeling, having nerve damage, having all of these things, it tests you. It tests you a lot and it puts you through the ringer. But I actually saw a photo not too long ago that I posted on my Instagram. And I think at the time I was about 13 kilos lighter. I remember I couldn't feel temperature in my body. I had nerve damage in my fingers. I couldn't feel feeling. I couldn't feel heat. I remember one big thing that, this hit me hard, but my mum came to visit me to help me recover from the injury. And I gave her a hug and I couldn't feel like anything. And it's something that's so small that we take for granted every day when you hug your friends or like touch your partner or whatever it is and you feel them. Like you really feel them. And I lost that. And at the time, I didn't know that was coming back. Every day was, am I going to get feeling back? Is nerve damage not going to be as bad? Am I going to get, you don't know. And that's, I think, the scariest thing about a spinal cord injury is you don't know what you're going to get. And you can wake up one day, and like I did one day, I woke up and I was like, oh, I can feel temperature again. And then, oh, I can feel my fingertips again. Oh, I can feel my toes again. And this is a process that took months and months to obviously recover. And I'm still have a little bit of niggles here and there that I think I'm going to have to live with forever. But it also gives you the perspective of knowing how bad something can get and then coming out the other side, know how good you have it every day just so you can walk. I had a moment where I was in my kitchen at home and my housemate was complaining about his day. And this was a month or two after my injury. And just in passing, I didn't even really mean to say it, but he was saying he had this going on and clients were applying and blah, blah, blah. And I said, at least you don't have a spinal cord injury. And I didn't do it as trying to be spiteful or anything, but it was just kind of came out. And he just looks at me and he goes, yeah, you're right. And it just he switched his mood. And I think about that more times than not, where I've told myself I'm never allowed to complain about having sore legs ever again in my entire life because I can feel them and I can use them. So it's those little resets. Sorry, that's me. I don't know. I thought I was running silent. It's those little moments where you it's like the whole thing, you don't know what you got till it's gone kind of thing. And for those brief 20 minutes on the ground where I never thought I was going to walk again, it puts your life into perspective of what's important and what you get to do. So to go through that and come back out of it and then actually want to heal myself, because it was probably the second lowest point in my life. I remember laying on the floor in my bedroom, and this is probably 2 or 3 weeks after the accident, no temperature in my body. I just broken up with my girlfriend. I just retired from my sport. Identity's kind of lost. Purpose is kind of lost. Relationship is lost. 3 massive pillars that made me who I thought I was were gone. And I remember laying there and you lose hope for anything. There's what's the point? And I think that's a really dangerous thing that so many people fall into in this day and age, because it's what's the point of doing anything? And they fall into this spiral where they're well, if there's no point of doing anything, why am I here? And that's why I see a lot of people check out with suicide. It's I don't have a purpose. I don't have a goal. I don't have a loved one. I don't have anything. So it's what's the point of being here? And I felt that in that moment. And I think by surrounding myself with good people, putting myself out there more, getting back into doing things, going to rehab, you slowly pull yourself out of that until obviously become who you are again and who I am now. But it's you go through the hard shit and you figure out what's inside and what you need to do. But for anyone, I guess, listening to this, to show some, hope coming out of an injury or a low point, like surround yourself with good people, because you can't always lift yourself up, but other people can be there to help. So I just try to surround myself with good people, do things that I know would make me happy. I started taking photos again. I started just doing podcasts again. I started being around the right people, and slowly over time, like it all gets better. And then I got back to here.
Wow, what a way to start the episode, man. There's a lot in there to unpack. First thing that pops up for me is knowing that I've been in that position myself, like pretty much the exact position. My fiance separated from me, destroyed my knee where I couldn't move for 4 months because I had to get a full replacement and everything. And I felt that when you were saying those things. And I can't even imagine what you had have been through when you couldn't actually, as you said, you couldn't feel.
Yeah.
During that time when that sense was lost, were the other senses heightened?
Not really, to be honest. I think it was everything was just like full nervous system trying to heal itself.
Yeah.
Like I would sleep for most of the day. Like I had nothing. I had no energy. I just had, I was just broken. I was really just broken. There was not like, oh, I can smell better, I can see. It's just like I'm pretty much locking myself in a room and sleeping as much as I can and minimal movement. So yeah, as much as I want to say, oh yeah, but this got better.
I became like Batman basically.
Yeah. No, there was no Batman. There was just Slugman crawling around the house trying to heal himself.
What helped you through that healing? What were some of the things that really helped you in those moments? Like I know you had great support by the sounds of things, but were there like podcasts you were listening to? Was there anything you were doing to really sort of get yourself on the train the best way you could?
I think I was just trying to get back into things that made me happy. Like I started shooting photos again. I just I needed purpose. I felt very like lost, and I felt like I didn't have anything. Like obviously my whole career or half my life, I've raced mountain bikes. I announced my retirement the race before I have a spinal cord injury and put myself out. So it's like, I don't have my sport, and I lost my identity in some way, and then the health. So it was just like, what does Dean like to do? And what can Dean do in this situation where he can't do much? So I just like shot photos for a bit, hung out with friends. I built this place, to be honest, as well. Like I wouldn't recommend anyone try and start up a business, especially one they have no clue about how to run or do, in the midst of a spinal cord injury. But I was so driven to find purpose again that I leased a warehouse and started kitting it out in the studio we sit in now with all the photography and whatnot. But as it was happening, as I was building it, I was still very broken, and I still was like, I would be in here working at night and I'd be so tired and run down, and I'm like, fuck, I should have gone on a holiday and like gone to a silent retreat or something. But I think sometimes it's not getting in your own way, because it's obviously I needed purpose, but I think I rushed into it a little bit too quickly, and I should have let my body heal properly before doing it. But yeah, I think find the things you love and then put effort into them. I think it's the best way to heal everything.
Have you had anyone reach out based off your story and what you've overcome to say, hey, thank you so much, you've inspired me to go after my passion or find purpose? Have you had any of those sort of messages come through?
Yeah, I think a lot of people message me, and it's one thing I really like is I think they see me doing me, and they're like, you're doing what you want to do. Yeah. And that's my big message to people. I'm like, don't do what your parents want you to do. Don't do what your friends, your wife, your kids, anyone else. Like, do what you want to do and do it properly. And then that's been a thing that's been instilled in me from a kid. Was my dad would always say, I don't care what you do, just do something, and do it with like passion and pride and excitement, and put yourself into it. And I grabbed hold of racing, and I'm like, well, I'm going to do this. And I put all my effort into it and became one of the best mountain bikers in the world, because I had that passion and that drive to do it, because I wanted to do it, no one else. And then when I got to the point where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore, I stopped doing it. And I think so many of us get stuck in this lifestyle of, I'm good at this, so I'm going to keep doing it. It's like, do you want to keep doing it? And you're like, no. Well, stop then. Like, you only get one go at this. And I would hate to live my life for years just doing something because, oh, you're good at it, you get some money for it, and it's not that bad. It's like, fuck, not that bad is terrible. It's like, when there's stuff you can do that, I know how passionate I was once about this. Like, I know how much I was driven to do this. And I'm like, if I put that passion into something else, I'll probably get just as good at that. So it's like, if you're doing something just past the time, and you're like, oh, well, I've been doing it for so long and I'm kind of good at it, like, that's not going to fill your soul. And like, yes, I know people need to pay bills, but find out what you're passionate about, put energy to that, that'll probably make you money, and you'll enjoy doing it at the same time. So it's like, you kind of get double the satisfaction there, instead of just, I I see so many people go through life doing stuff they're not passionate about and they don't enjoy. And I'm like, you get one shot at doing this and you're going to be old. And every single person I've talked to on my podcast, I always ask them, what are they scared of? And they always say unfulfilled potential. And it's like doing something you don't enjoy is leaving this massive mountain of unfulfilled potential that you could be climbing to get to where you want to go. But just like start climbing, start trying it.
I couldn't agree more, bro. One of the biggest things that really blows my mind is when people don't realize that the greatest motivator in the world can be death. It's like, I could fucking have a stroke in the next 10 seconds for whatever purpose. I've been diagnosed with heart issues, all these sort of things, right? And it blows my mind as to what you said. It's like, well, how do people not gather that our life can be taken at any moment? You literally nearly had your life taken, right? And you now get after it. But I think you already had, correct me if I'm wrong, you already had this mindset before that happened.
Yeah, I did. And that's the whole reason why I retired. I retired because I was like, this doesn't fill my soul like it used to, so I want to do something else.
I'm going to change it.
Yeah. It was just the thing that I found, and it was a big takeaway with the accident. Like, if you're doing something that doesn't fill your soul and make you feel like the best possible version of yourself, it's dangerous. I crashed into a tree and hurt my spinal cord because it was dangerous, because I wasn't fully invested in the thing that I was doing. And I always say to people, you might not have a spinal cord injury or really badly hurt yourself, but your soul's dying every day. Your passion's dying every day. You're probably losing friends because you're not being your true self every day. There's so many, I guess, flow-on effects of not doing something that gives you drive and purpose that you probably wouldn't even notice. But it's like, you're not magnetic. People aren't gravitating towards you. They're pulling away from you because you're going through life on this like numb, like autopilot. And it's like, you need to jump off that and go, okay, well, what makes me feel the best possible version of myself that then will draw people into me to then build a better life?
Yeah. Do you know much about like frequency and vibration and things like that?
Not as much as I should.
Yeah. So from what I felt when I walked in here, your vibration, your frequency is quite high. Like it's magnetic, as you just said. So then therefore, for anyone listening, as Dean's saying, it's like he's doing what he loves. So that's raising the frequency of who he is. And then that's magnetically pulling in the purpose, the opportunities, the people that are meant to be around you. Do you find that you just keep meeting fucking cool people?
Yeah. And you get to a point in your life, I'm like, why does good shit keep happening?
Yeah.
Why do good people keep coming into my life? Why does my life go in this positive direction? I'm like, you create all of that by how you show up every day. So you start doing the right things for yourself. You start doing the things that you know make you you, and watch your life change before your eyes. You're like, oh, this girl likes me now. Oh, this job opportunity came up. Oh, this house is like, it just starts working out. It's like you created that. And it's like people talk all about like manifestation. I really hate that because it's a bit of a buzzword. All manifestation is to me is focus. Like, what are you focused on?
Yeah.
Focused on yourself, man. What's going to get better? Yourself getting better. What's that going to attract? Better people, better opportunities, better jobs, better girls, better everything. So focus on you and then watch the repercussions of that. Like, it's so obvious, but so many of us, including myself, don't do it at times because it's like, again, I talked about before, you're so caught up in making other people happy. You're so caught up in people pleasing. You're so caught up in if they like me or not. And it's all bullshit at the end of the day. It's like, as soon as you start doing you and enjoying yourself, the right people will come in and the wrong people will leave, and it's completely fine.
From what I've seen, and I couldn't agree more with what you said, bro, like authenticity is one of the highest frequencies. And I can tell that you've really realized that at a deep level. Because in the past, have you people pleased a little bit?
Yeah, I still people please to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a trait that if you want to be liked, it's good. If you want to love yourself, it's bad.
Ooh, can you say that again?
People pleasing.
Yeah. Just repeat that one line where it's like, if you want to be liked.
If you want to be people pleasing, if you want to be liked, it's good. If you want to love yourself, it's bad.
Yeah, fuck. Like, I hope that really lands for anyone listening right now, because I'm a recently reformed people pleaser.
Yeah.
It's even for clients. You know, my business is based off pleasing people.
Yeah.
You know, making sure they're looked after and they're getting the right service and help and all those sort of things. But I think when you start to go past your boundaries, you're doing that person a disservice anyway. You know what I mean? So for you, how are you overcoming that piece of yourself?
Learning to say no to people, learning to be honest from the start, learning not to go down a path you know is not for you just to make someone else feel a little bit better, to protect their emotions. like this thing. It's like people would rather a nice lie over a harsh truth. Tell the fucking truth from the get go. It's just easier for everyone, and having difficult conversations will make your life a lot easier in the long run. So I think it's just being more straight up with yourself and knowing yourself enough that this isn't for me. And we talked about just before, like I had this kind of a bit of an epiphany moment the other day. I went and saw a kinesiologist, and we're talking about relationships and how I always found myself getting in these relationships where I'd get either cheated on or someone would sleep with someone else. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? Like, the person that I was seeing isn't a bad person, but like, what am I doing to make them act out in this way? And like, take the spotlight off them, put it back on yourself. And I had this epiphany moment where like, I'd get into a relationship, I'd people please, I'd put the girl on a pedestal, I would try and give them everything. They wouldn't want everything. They would see that I'm not being my true self because I'm trying to put so much into them. I stopped putting into myself. So they'd pull away. So then they pull away, so I chase. So then when I chase, they pull away further, and then they act out and do something bad. And it kind of goes, fuck, I need to probably stop putting so much, not effort, but so much into someone else without putting it into myself first and like caring for myself and loving myself. And I know a lot of people might say, well, it's not the right person, but I still think with the right person, you still need to love yourself before you start putting into someone else. Like the whole analogy when a plane's crashing and the oxygen comes down, you put on yourself before you put on your kids or your partner. It's like you need that oxygen. You need to be able to like fill yourself up with love and care, affection, and all these things before you start to try and fill up someone else's cup. So that's the thing I'm trying to do now, where it's like, what does Dean need to be the best version of Dean? And once he's got that sorted, then start to try and give out love and affection and care and all these other things to someone else. But up until that point, it's like, they're not going to love you properly and you're not going to love yourself properly. So once you figure out, okay, what do I need to love myself? And once you get that dialed in, okay, sweet, now we can go out to the rest of the world or a partner or whoever else it is and start giving them the love they deserve and need because you're good.
I love you've brought this topic into this, bro, and I'm so happy for you that you're realizing this at, 29 still super young. So you've got this ability to, as you're moving into welcome to the 30s, baby, and you start to get to that level where they might perceive, oh, you got to be fucking married, all these other things. Whatever, take your time. But for anyone listening, it's like our monkey brains have so many automatic inbuilt programs. So for myself, have you listened to Way of the Superior Man before or read that book?
I'm actually reading it currently.
Yeah, perfect.
Literally just got it.
Gone. So epic book. I give it to all my male clients and females actually. And there's a part in there, and what you just said, for anyone listening, please listen to the fact that innately within most women, they have this unconscious feel and want that they want a man on a mission, and they will test you. And if you break your mission to please her, she will unconsciously go, ew. Like she'll get the ick. It's like, oh, what the fuck? I thought he was on a mission. How can I so easily take his focus off? As you were saying before, where's your focus flowing? And I know with the mission I'm on, as much as my beautiful fiance might want to spend more time together and all these sort of things, the more I break myself away from what I'm doing and say yes to her and wanting to, oh, let's hang out this weekend and go do this, this, and this. But I know maybe I need to prepare for this podcast or something, right? No matter what, if I keep breaking my promise to myself, eventually she's just like going to be like, oh, why do I not find him as attractive anymore? Like I just see it happen all the time because the same thing for me, bro. I used to do the same. I would dote on every woman I was with and just give away too much of myself. And in that practice, they're kind of like, oh, what the fuck? You're not as valuable as I first perceived you. You're not the barbarian outside the cave that can go and kill the saber-tooth and bring back meat for me. And then that innate little like monkey brain is going, yeah, I'm not safe around this man. So there's those pieces that a lot of young men especially, and myself, I didn't know. We don't get taught this shit, bro. Like we just think that a little thing that I posted a little while ago after learning about it was they're not your type, they're your pattern. And our patterns will dominate everywhere in our life. And our patterns come from our programming, which is our parents or society, school. How was school for you, bro? Like when coming up and all those sort of things, did you have to go through some hard times with that?
Yeah, terrible. I hated school.
Because I just felt your heart open up when I said school.
Yeah, I hate it.
Did you get... What happened around 15, 16?
15, 16 wasn't so bad. Younger, like primary school was fucked. That was really bad. A lot of bullying, really bad school, shitty. Then went to high school and just like I just wasn't that smart. it's funny, the whole reason this podcast got started because I was terrified of like public speaking and
Yeah, right.
speaking in front of people. I'd be the kid that like, could you read this paragraph out? I'd get nervous and stutter.
Have a
and
stroke or something.
yeah, I'd get my whole body would go into shock, and I hated it so much. But I never like try to beat it until I got out of school. And I was like, I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to speak, and thousands of people are going to listen to it. And fuck it, I want to beat this thing. And I'm going to speak at a school on Thursday afternoon. So
yeah, congrats, bro. That's
because
it.
I'm like, beat your fears, man. Like, go head first into your trauma. Go head first into the things that scare you. That's how you get better. That's how you level up yourself, because it's like, and that's where you get fulfillment out of like, this thing had a hold of me and I hated it. More of that until it's fine, until you enjoy it, until you're good at it. And just keep doing that. Keep ticking off things that scare you until you get to a point where you're like, I'm pretty good with life now. Like, everything's pretty okay with me. And it'll feel a hell of a lot better.
Are you still scared of much at the moment? Is there things that you still want to overcome?
Probably biggest things like public speaking in front of crowds. I know, and the thing is, when I was racing, I'd get on podiums, and I've done it before, and I know deep down that I was like, I can do it.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that's more annoying. It's like, I know there's more in there. I know I can be captivating. I know I can say things that resonate with people. I know I can explain things in a simple level where people can go, oh, I never looked at it like that. Like, I know I have that, and doing the podcast has helped me have that. I just want to do it on more of a broad scale, but there's some little thing inside of me that's like, oh, like there's a lot of people down there, but it's actively trying to get better at it.
It's the only way to do it, bro. Like I said at the start, before we got on here, was like, I've pretty much just failed my way forward to this point. You know, people ask me like, how did you become the technician? How did you do this? And like, I was just willing to try shit. Like what you said before, I didn't necessarily know I wanted to be a podcaster, but I started doing it and I loved it. And it uncovered that deeper purpose of wanting to help people. You know, and now you're doing this and you are helping more people. Where do you see this all going? Like, what is the ultimate like way forward for Dean and what you're doing?
I think we talked about it off air, and I don't want to like bring it up on here, but I think just motivating people not just through like talking and speaking, but through action as well. Like, I've got some things in my mind that I want to try and achieve to help motivate people and show people like more is possible. So from not being an athlete now and obviously going to this, that's something I missed. I miss pushing my body past perceived limits and seeing what comes up when I do that. So I really want to dive more into that. I do eventually probably want to get into helping kids with coaching and stuff like that with mountain biking, but just as like a fun hobby thing. But just like, I like inspiring people. I like to show people that they can go from a low point in their life and go to such a high, because I know I did. Like, I was at such a low point at several times in my life. And I know even now, even recently when I went to low points, I know that it always gets better. Like, I've got that built into me now. But when I was younger, I didn't have that. When I was younger, there was no light at the end of the tunnel. There was just the fucking tunnel. And once you realize that there's always light there, there's always something you can attach yourself to. There's always something that can get better. And you have those tools built into you. You want to share that with other people, because you know that there's so many people out there that see the world in such a dark, gloomy, fucked up way because of their experiences they've gone through and how they've been either raised or taught or whatever it may be. So if you can have someone come in and shine a light on, hey, no, there's actually a better way to live, why wouldn't you want to do that?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I'm so excited for you to go do this school talk, because I just recently, like a few months ago, did my first one at a Brizzy school. And it was wild because it brought back, I was the same for school, man. School sucked for me. Like, I was the biggest kid, but I was like the nice guy. So I didn't know how to stand up for myself. And going back to school, it brought back so many things for me of like, oh shit, like I used to really hate this. Like, I got bullied and all those other things. I think by you doing that and going towards that fear, so much is going to unlock and then come into the present with what you're doing now, which I'm really fucking excited for. For you with like business, bro, like I can understand that you were in a sport that like took like real precise split decisions, right? Sorry, like you'd be going through these like, holy fuck, I need to turn, there's a tree coming, whatever it might be. How is that now sort of being brought into business and what you're doing? Do you feel like that's correlated quite well?
I think with business, with anything, it's just belief. It's like self-belief is the most powerful thing I think you can carry into anything. So if you believe you can do something, you're halfway there. If you don't believe you can do it, why are you even on the field? Or why are you even in the arena of business or sport or whatever it is? And that's something that, like, you can start a business And you can still not believe that it's actually going to work.
Yeah.
But as soon as you believe it's going to work, you find the extra motivation or extra 5% to put in that, I don't know what, either it's long hours or more money or whatever it is, because like, this is going to work. I know this is going to work. I'm backing myself in this. So it's like, for anyone listening to this, like, do something, but do it because you believe in it, and do it because you know you can do it. And I think that was the biggest takeaway from racing, was like, I believed that I could be one of the best people in the world at this, and I became one of the best people in the world. So when you do that, like, it's a lot harder to be a professional mountain biker than it is to open a creative studio. So it like seems like it's different, but it's still like, I definitely took the belief from that and brought it over to here, and it seems to be working so far.
When you're having those tough days within business and showing up and doing the things, what do you usually do to help yourself through it? First of all, take that drink of water, because you can do it. Because for me, dude, like I as we were saying before this, it's like, we're human, right? We're going to have the experiences of the ups and downs. I think it's important to have those, because then, again, perspective, right? But I know so many people that I get a lot of people messaging me too and asking for tools and all these little things and resources like, Trav, how do you get through your tough days? It's like, well, sometimes I'm actually just within my tough day. I just be with it. I feel it. Most people are trying to run away from their emotions, when so many people now are, dissociating. So they're on their phone, they're scrolling, they're whatever they can, drugs, alcohol, whatever they can do to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
So how do you usually go through those down days? Like, what's something that helps you?
Best thing's normally just talking to people, just asking for help.
Yeah.
Like the whole idea of like, rumination, where you just go around and around in your head about certain situations. And I always do this in relationships with someone. I go, she's probably thinking this, or she's probably doing this. And you come up with all these different stories in your brain about what's going on. And then I talk to her and she's like, no, that's not what's happening at all. And go, fuck, why did I just torture myself for 2 days thinking that all of this shit was going on when I could have just talked to you? But the same with business. Your business is failing. Talk to someone that's done it. Talk to a friend that knows something about the business you're in and see if they can help you. Like, we all try and go through life with this like boss bitch attitude that like, I can do it all myself. And it's like, maybe you can't, and that's okay. Ask someone for help, and that's okay. It's not like weak to ask for help when it's like you don't know what the answer is. You don't know which direction to go. It's like someone can point you in the right direction and save you a lot of worry, a lot of heartache, a lot of stress if you just go, hey, what do? I don't know. Because I that's probably my biggest thing. When I get stuck, I'm like, oh, well, I don't know what to do right now. This person knows a little bit about what I'm doing. What do you think? And they go, do that. That's probably the right thing.
That's a great bit of advice, yeah.
But just like we're all making it up as we go, man. Yeah. We're all fucking.
No one actually knows what they're doing.
No, not at all. It's like once you zoom out a little bit and go, it's all fucking new to most of us. So let's just go easy on people and don't be so harsh and try and smile and it will be fine.
What's the best bit of advice you've received recently that someone else could take from it?
Best bit of advice I've received. Need to probably listen to more advice. No, I read a quote the other day, and it's just, I think it just said, be genuine and everything will reciprocate or remove itself.
Ooh.
And I like that because it's true. It's like if you be genuine, people leave, they probably like they're not your people. Or it will come back at you if people are being genuine to you, and it's
like that cheesy old saying of your vibe attracts your tribe. It couldn't be more real, man. Like if you set boundaries, as we're now learning, people that used to benefit from you not having boundaries will just fade away.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah, they can't utilize you anymore, and they realize that. So it's like saying no. My coach actually told me a really powerful story. She said, because she could tell that I was still, as much as I'm now, I have my no's, she could tell that I still probably aren't saying enough juicy no's. And she said, a friend of hers had this really incredible business idea. And he walked into like, it's kind of like that Shark Tank vibe where you pitch your idea and they're like, oh, it's great. Let's give you $1 million. He walks in there and he's saying what it is. And the guy's like, yeah, this is sick. And then the guy that wanted to invest, he kept asking some questions about what he could change. And the inventor was like, oh yeah, I guess, yep, yeah. And at the end of the guy was like, yeah, I don't want to buy your product anymore. The guy was like, what the fuck, why? You were too willing to bend to my will. You said yes to me wanting to change the product that you're passionate about. And that made me not want to be with a guy like you. I don't want to purchase a product from someone that can't say no for something that they've created. And that for me really hit. And Jess sort of said, it's like, Trav, where are you willing to bend to someone else's questions or wanting you to change who you are or your product or whatever it is? And it made me think about it. And I thought, holy shit, yeah, wow. I thought I was doing good for some people, but I was actually just taking the piss out of myself by bending to the will of my viewers or whatever it might be. And don't get me wrong, what I do is for everyone else. But like you said before,
Starts with you.
It should be starting with me. Like, I'm the artist. I can't just be creating paint, like these works of art that I don't actually fucking like, and then turning it around and showing people, and they're like, oh, yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
Like, and, you know, to lead into that question for you, bro, what's a piece of art you're creating at the moment that you're really excited to show the world?
I think before you do the art question, because I've got a point what you were saying about when you're saying yes to someone else to try and make them happy. Recently, I was seeing a girl, and we were seeing each other for a while. And
what's a while first?
7 months.
Yeah, that's a while. Yeah,
yeah, that works.
Yeah.
what would not have sufficed?
3 months.
No, so 7 months. But it kind of like came up. Like, I'm not in a position now that I want to have kids right now. But it came up like the idea of kids, and she's like, I don't think I want kids. Like, I don't think I ever want kids. And like, I'm 29. She's just turned 30. She was 29 at the time. Like, you're kind of getting to that point where it's like a discussion at least. And she was like, no, I don't want them. And then I was like, yeah, maybe I don't want them either. Like, you know, it's good being like, you know, not single, but like in a relationship, you could. And I started thinking like that. And we're no longer seeing each other. And then I met up with this other girl, and she's like, I just really want to be a mum. And that hit something inside of me that was just like, oh no, that's what you want. Like, you want a family. And I knew that all along, but you try and bend your own wants and needs to satisfy someone else. And then like in that point, it's like, that's when you realize that this probably isn't my person, because they want something that's different than I want. And that doesn't mean they're a good or a bad person. That just means they're them and you are you. And those two things don't align. And it's being okay with that. Because there's this massive thing I've been thinking about. It's like, do you have chemistry with someone, or do you have a proper connection with someone? Now, those two things can get very gray area very quickly. So you could have great chemistry, great sex, you're passionate, you're excited, but you both want different things, and you're both going in two completely different directions. And you hold on to each other for way too long and both get way too hurt because you haven't actually looked at the difference between what those things are. So once you can go, what do I want? And you go, okay, I want these things. What do you want? Oh, I want these things. Oh, like, if you take emotion out of relationships, fuck, man, that'd be so easy. As soon as you mix in some emotion, some chemistry, some love, all that good stuff.
Some of the real shit, yeah.
Some of that real stuff, it's like, which way do I want to fall now? But it's funny, I've seen this, it was like a skit where these two people sit down and they're like, we've been seeing each other, like we've seen each other around the office. Do you want to get married? Like, do you want this?
Yeah,
Have you seen that?
Yeah,
it's like,
seen that, yeah.
And it's like a business meeting almost. Yep. And she's like, could you deal with this? And she's like, oh, no, well, we tried. And they shake hands and go about their business. And as funny as that is, like, I went on a date recently, and I'm just fucking sick of wasting time, man. Like, I just went through something for 7 months knowing at the bottom of my heart that it wasn't my person, but I went along with it because the chemistry and the connection, the chemistry and the emotions were so high and so strong. And I was like, maybe she'll change, like, kind of thing, holding on to that. And then it's ended, and it's just like, it wasn't a waste of time because it was enjoyable, but at the same time, like, I want a person. Like, I really enjoy having a person that I can put love into and care for. And meeting someone else and them saying something like that, and me being like, hey, I'm going to be pretty straight up and honest with you. I'm looking for this. Are you is that something you like? And if it's not, all good. If it is, sweet, let's see where it goes. But it's just like cutting the bullshit out to a certain extent, because like, fuck, man, dating on the Gold Coast is a pretty fucking.
I can only imagine, bro.
Oh man, it's this thing where it's like everyone's like, there's so many options here, and there's so much abundance of like single people that are all gorgeous and they're all fit and they're all have some level of depth that is you can connect with. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I think everyone should live that life of just going and partying and having fun and doing all that. But you get to a point, man, you're like, I don't want to do that anymore. But then it's like, it's hard to actually find, like, I find like it's hard to find something because everyone's like, the grass is greener is like a Gold Coast. It should be the fucking slogan of Gold Coast. Grass is greener because it's like, ooh, shiny thing. Ooh, shiny thing.
You go for a walk in Burley and see someone go past and like, oh, damn, they're pretty hot.
Man.
And then the insight, like as you said, the chemistry, the neurotransmitters kick in, the dopamine, the serotonin, and you're like, fuck, maybe I love them. Like, no, you're just attracted to them. It's okay. Keep walking. It's fine. Like, you're actually allowed to find other people attractive and have some sort of like thing going on. You can still find that person that you love. And as you said, you can dote on and connect and grow together. But I think that's the other part of it, bro, is like people don't even know how to commit to things anymore. Like, what the fuck is commitment? You know, I feel like you were pretty committed to a sport for many, many years. So why can people find commitment towards a job or other things, but committing to a person, why do you find people so hard to do that?
Man, I think it just comes back to options and like the ease of connecting with other people. You got apps, you got clubs, you've got there's just, it's so easy to connect. And I do hate when people go back in the day, like my grandparents. I'm like, that's because grandma and grandpa lived in a town of 200 people and they weren't going on Instagram and seeing asses and tits and fucking everything they could every 2 seconds. It's like we are so overstimulated with people and sex and just all in your face at all times. Like, man, I go on my Instagram sometimes and I don't think I even follow that many, like, it's just people that I follow on the coast. And it's like, man, you see, like, it's pretty wild, the shit that gets put out there.
Oh, bro.
Even if
it's like full-blown porn now.
Pretty much. And it's like, they're just in activewear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, to have that just constantly in your face, it's almost just like, fuck, man, get in a relationship and just delete and just throw it away, bro.
At some point, dude, like if there's a lot of people or even men and women that just don't have that self-control ability or they haven't worked on themselves, it's going to be really hard to commit to something because they don't know actually what's going on. You know, for the type of work I do, it's all unconscious mind stuff. So you consciously love this person. You know you want to be with them. But the patterns and the programs that are still playing out on a deeper level, which is 90% of what we do, that's what's ruining the relationships. And it hurts because I'm like, fuck, this is why I do what I do and I want people to know this. It's like if you have a dad wound because dad was never emotionally available, you're probably going to find a man that does the same thing. And like, I want people to know those things so they can start to understand. It's like, why do I keep finding these pieces of shit? It's like, well, your dad wasn't a piece of shit, but he wasn't actually around or emotionally available. So you're going to find something that's similar to what your childhood created, right? And people just don't understand these things. But then doing that work, bro, and I'm sure you've done some work now, I can tell you're quite integrated and you're doing your thing. Was it scary to start doing the self-work, to start finding out about yourself?
Pulling up the shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't say scary, but you kind of, man, like you got to relive your trauma to fix it.
Yeah, you do.
You got to feel it again. And that's the thing we were talking about before. It's like for people that can feel great levels of happiness, they can also feel great levels of sadness. And it's like you get to feel all of it. And to deal with those traumas and those pains, you need to feel them, like really feel them. And until you do that, you're just going to go along life in this numb plateau. So it's like you need to feel those, work out why I feel these things, and then work out how never to feel them like to that level again, if it's like a real negative. But you've got to feel both of them, man. You can't just have one or the other. And I always battled with this, whether it's better to feel everything so deeply or just be numb to it. And I was numb for a long time, and I don't want to go back there. I'd rather feel happiness and sadness to both their levels and understand both for what they are than none at all.
I couldn't agree more, bro. It's like the beauty of life is the polarity of it. It's meant to be paradoxical. It's the swing of the pendulum. Like maybe someday, I think I said to you before, I just recently said to someone, you might see me as the coach and the thing and I'm doing this and that. I still have really hard days. I still have moments where I'm driving in the car and I'm just like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And I think without something that is so big and you're not questioning yourself sometimes, is it big enough?
Yeah.
That's how I think anyway. What was something that you recently had to really move through? Because I noticed you went to Bali. Was that a bit of an escape from some stuff or just a bit of a holiday? Like what was going on there?
I think somewhat of an escape, like how I talked about before. I just got out of this, wasn't even a relationship. We weren't actually officially together, situationship or whatever the fuck you want to call it these days. But yeah, like I fell head over heels for this girl and she didn't feel the same way and it ended up ending. And I get pretty caught up on people because, again, feel deeply, feel it all, go head first, go all in. And I kind of just realized that coming out of that, you kind of end up, for me personally, like I'll just talk, I'm probably going to fucking call myself out here, but like I'll talk to different girls to kind of like, and yeah, it's fun and it's like, I'm always like very honest and upfront of where I'm at, and like I'm trying not to be a dick and being like as honest as possible, but you kind of just going through the motions of just like getting affection and care and love from people because like you like that's what I enjoy and cherish, but it doesn't like, you know, it's not really deeper than that.
Yeah.
And then I got to a point where I'm like, I'm sick of doing the same shit over and over again. Like I'm sick of going through this same process over and over again. So before I went to Bali, I was like, I'm not talking to anyone. I'm cutting everyone off. I'm just focusing on me and I'm doing me. And you start to realize that all these different distractions and people pulling your energy over everywhere is like, it's giving the right people that need to come into your life. It doesn't give them the opportunity to come in, or it doesn't give you the focus to actually put energy into them when they do come in. So just getting back to me and worrying about me, as lonely as it does get at times, it's like the best thing you need to do because you're figuring yourself out. And once you figure out that you don't need anyone else, everyone else seems to want to come in. And it's this weird, I don't know, magnetism you have when you're like, I actually don't care if I have someone in my life. And then without fail, every time someone goes, hey, I'm here now, want to catch up or something like that. You know what I mean? But it's like, you can't fake that. You can't fake not wanting people in your life or not needing people in your life. You just have to do the things that fill you up and make you feel happy. And when that happens, the right people will come in.
I love that, bro. It's such an important lesson for anyone. It's like there's this reel I seen years ago where it's the monks talking about the more you try to reach out and grab something, the further it moves away from you.
Yeah.
But as soon as you just let it come to you, it just swings directly to you. It's the same for money and everything. You know, money's an energy. Money for me, I never understood it until maybe the last 12 months or so. And understanding that it literally is an energy now, and it's having that belief and, you know, feeling towards it where it's like, I don't care whether I have it or not. And as soon as you stop being a groupie towards money, the universe goes, oh, okay, you respect it, but you don't need it. Here's more. Same thing with like people, right? Like, again, I don't even know what made you reach out to me on Instagram. I hadn't even had in my awareness to like think to, oh man, I need to reach out to Dino and like ask him if he'd jump on the potty.
I think I realized, man, and this comes back to when I was just doing me. I was like, what do I enjoy doing?
Yeah.
And it's like obviously podcasting, but there's a certain like, once you start running your own podcast, you interview a lot of people, but you don't really go on that many other people's podcasts.
Yeah.
And to be a good host, what I've found is you obviously let the person speak and like speak their mind and it's like, it's their show. You like, this is yours. I'm just facilitating your show. And I've seen some people that do podcasts where it's almost like they've got a guest on so they can tell the guest all of their best stories. And I know when I started podcasting, I definitely did that to a certain degree. Same. And you obviously get better and give them more space and learn. But I was doing these podcasts and I was enjoying them, but I was like, I've got stuff that I want to get out. I've got stuff that I want to say, and I do solo ones, but it's not the same. Yeah. And I was like, I miss being a guest on podcasts. I just literally missed it. And I was like, I need to do that because I know that fills me up and makes me feel good. So, I was like reached out and thought, hey, do you want to have a chat? And why not? And try and, I guess, like I said, I want to do this more. I want to lean into this more and get better at it. So I think it's like, you want to get better at something, just try and do it more.
Oh, dude, you've been an amazing guest so far, and it's like I can see I'm the same. Like I love jumping on heaps of different potties and just because it's just like the conversations that there's always something different that's asked.
Yeah,
and you might talk about the same shit, but then the question, the way it's asked, you might tell your story a bit different because of something that they put in there. And you said there that you've got a lot of stuff that you want to get off your chest and speak into. What are some things that you wanted to talk about the most or what's most relevant for you right now that you're like, I need to get this out of my chest. Like I need to say this shit.
I think it comes back to the whole, I guess, getting caught up on people.
Yeah.
And getting so invested in other people and again, it comes back to this people pleasing thing. It's like, work on you, figure yourself out. And by the way, me saying this is all directed back at me because this is what I know gets me out of a funk, out of a rut, out of feeling down is focusing on yourself and stop saying yes to everyone that doesn't serve you, that doesn't help you, that doesn't care about you, and start putting that back into you. It's like no one's going to come save you. No one's going to help you when you're at rock bottom if you're not helping you. No one's going to love you at rock bottom if you're not loving you. Like all these things have to come from yourself. So it's like as soon as you start loving yourself, as soon as you start caring for yourself, as soon as you start saving yourself, people will see that and want to help. It's very rare someone will come to you when you're at those points. And it's harsh to say, and I'm sure there's obviously occasions where people will come, but most of the time, man, when you're at rock bottom, you're at rock bottom. That's when you need to start giving yourself that love. But it's like, do that before you even get to that point. Do that when you're far from that point. And I guess that's the thing now where I'm leaning more into is what do I need to be my best self, and stop giving so much of like my love, energy, affection, care, resources to people that don't deserve it, that don't actually need it, and that I don't want to give it to anymore because I need to give it to myself first. So I'm like, I'm in a stage where I'm like, okay, I need to do me and do me properly. And it's been nice. And like, honestly, it's pretty instantly how things have been changing in my life, and my mood has been shifting, and how things just seem to be going in the right direction. And it happens so quick, man. It happens so quickly.
I love to be really practical in my podcast and give the listener some things that they can really implement into day-to-day stuff. When I hear people say to love yourself and to care for yourself, can you take us through a day of Dean and how you might show self-care and self-love to yourself?
Yeah. So I think everyone is going to be so different.
Yeah.
But normally for me, to have a good day, get up early, watch the sunrise, maybe go for a run, go to the gym, get in the ocean. I like to read. I feel like that clears my head. Read, be around good friends, people that like I care about or love. I normally ride my motorbike, put my headphones in, like go ride around somewhere. So it's just like it's all the simple stuff. It's being active, being around people that you know care for you and you care for, pushing myself, whether that be physically or just in a situation like speaking on a stage in front of people, or like stepping out of that comfort zone a little bit, like mentally pushing myself or physically pushing myself. I think that's where all the good stuff is, and trying to be creative, whether that's through photography or videography or podcasting, or just trying to get like snippets that just like pull an emotion out of people. Like all of that stuff to me is what gets me going. But like I had this concept, I talked about this the other day, and it's the whole idea of life is like a game of snakes and ladders. And you create how many ladders you want in your life and how many snakes you want in your life. And people always ask, like, how long does it take to get to said goal? It's like, how many snakes have you got in your game and how many ladders have you got in your game? And you create that. And that comes back to, like I just said, the things that make me feel the best I can feel is they're my ladders. Going for a ride on my motorbike, being around my friends, exercising. Snakes could be staying up too late, drinking, being around toxic relationships, people. And it's like, how long do you want to take to get to your goal? And I was like, okay, I've just removed a lot of my snakes and added a lot of ladders. Now, life's random and you can fall on any one of those days, anytime. You roll the dice, you don't know where you're going to land. But if you've got 27 ladders in your game, because you've put them there, you're more likely to level up and level up and level up. But if you've got all these snakes, you keep going backwards or stationary, it's going to take a lot longer. So put some more ladders in your life.
Clip, bro. That if I want to see you create some sort of like physical fucking journal or something, or like a poster that people can put on their wall, where you can place like, what's this ladder that's going to take me to this level? What's this snake I need to remove? And it's like their little tasks. Like I can see that being really helpful for people, because that was a game for everyone's childhood, right?
Yeah.
So it's like simplifying things. Like to me, objectively, I can see that in my mind. I'm very visual. Like I picture that.
Yeah.
And I can already see what are some of my snakes in my life. What are the things taking away from me? Like what ladders can I put in there? Like that's really cool, dude. Nice work. I like that.
I think because I spent a lot of time with like coaching kids and being around kids, I think I can simplify things down so people can like really digest and understand. So I'm trying to do more of that. So because I'm the same, I'm visual, I see it.
Yeah.
And I always think, I'm like, why do I keep going backwards? And it's like, because like another snake.
Yeah,
It's like, I drank last weekend. Oh, I've gone backwards again. I'm in this toxic relationship. I keep going backwards. Oh, like I'm not doing the things that fill me up. It's like, man, you add all the things to like elevate your life.
Yeah, 100%. Like you are the creator of your world, right?
Everything, man. Everything.
What's something for you right now that's I know you said you were reading Way of the Superior Man at the moment. Is there anything in there that you've read that you've just gone, oh shit, okay, like that hit?
I've only just started it, but I guess it talks a lot about the masculine and the feminine,
Yep.
and how you need to both play those roles. Now, I have definitely been in a relationship where I've gone for not like super masculine, but like more hands-on girls, and I always kind of enjoyed it. But then it gets to a point where it's like I need someone to play their feminine so I can play my masculine, and not try and just like take over and be that, like, I know I got this kind of thing. And it's been hard because I go for very independent women.
Are they usually business owners and stuff?
In some degree, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So business owners, people that are driven to do their own thing. Like, I always joked around that, like, I wanted a girl that didn't like need me, but at the same time, I want a girl that wants, like, you know what I mean? So I've
doesn't need me but wants me.
Yeah, I've had girlfriends where I've become their entire life. It's like, what are we doing? What are we doing now? But like, their friend circle isn't massive, and their passions aren't like it just, like, I become everything. And I didn't like that because it felt like this pressure to, like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And it's like, I still, like, it's not like I don't want to hang out with you, but when you feel that extra pressure, you kind of get a bit suffocated and you want to leave. So I'd always go for girls that had a lot of their own life going on, and I would just like slot into it in a nice way where we could both do stuff together, but they're still doing their cool stuff and I'm doing mine. So it's a balancing act, because it's a fine line between having someone that, again, doesn't actually need you and can do their own thing, but really wants you. And those things, again, it's hard to find that perfect person when it comes to that. And yeah, I'm still haven't yet to find it, but definitely trying.
Bro, this hits because I'll call myself out here, because our relationships are the biggest mirrors. They will mirror every fucking shadow you've got. And my missus, shout out to my fiancée, Christelle, she has brought up so much in me just by being this amazing woman. Not doing anything wrong, but triggering the things in me that I was avoidant of. So when you said the thing where it's like someone that doesn't like has their own passions and everything, she didn't necessarily have those in the beginning. But I've noticed her shift because she's been around me and she sees my drive, my passion, my creativity, my ability to become an entrepreneur and create something cool. She's a teacher, bro. But she's now gone and created her own business. Now she does sound healing. Like, she does sound healing events, and she's a facilitator for our workshops. So she's evolved her own, I guess, preconceived personality traits and things that she enjoys by me challenging her. So I agree. It's really hard to find the perfect person. But I think a lot of people are a lot more malleable than we think. It just depends on what do you see in them and how long are you willing to wait for them to become the person you want them to be, rather than waiting around. And like, how long are you willing to sort of put up with that, essentially?
I guess the thing you said there is like, person you want them to be. It's like, they should be that person already.
You're spot on.
You
Yeah,
know
I'll call myself on that too. Yeah, it's
you
like,
get what I mean though?
Yeah,
It's like, I guess it's this idea of potential, and I've been in relationships where you see the potential of you and the other person. And it's like, if you fall in love with the potential of someone, you're losing out on loving them right now.
Yeah.
You love what you could be, not what you are. And you're constantly chasing a mirage that you will never catch. It's like, if you don't love the person now, if you don't want to be with the person now, don't be with the person, because you're falling in love with a future idea that is just fucking fugazi, whatever. It's not real.
Yeah.
And you get so caught up on this idea of like, well, if you change like this, and if I do this, and if these align, then maybe I might love you then. And it's like, if you don't love them now, get out.
Yeah. And there's a big difference between there. Like, I knew from the start I loved this woman, and it's not necessarily about her becoming what I want her to become, but holding her in that challenge that the things that I do make her uncomfortable. It's like, I love you so much and I want to see you do what you want to do. But hey, if you want to come over and try my lifestyle out,
you still want to grow together.
Yeah, it's like the growth, right? It's a growth piece. But I agree, dude. Like, I'm assuming you would see so many people down here that are holding on to the version of someone that they want them to be, and you cop the, oh, such and such just keeps doing this. I don't know why. And it's like, dude, fucking leave.
Yeah, we've all done it, man. I've done it.
I've
fallen in love with potential.
Yeah.
You see how good something could be, and it's not like it's bad now, but you're like, oh, it could be so good, man. It could be everything. This could be everything.
Yeah.
And you both see it, but it's not real. It's not real at all. And once you accept that and go, this is just a made up future in our minds of how good something could be, but we've actually haven't put in any of the work or effort to create any of what we've talked about. It's just a future idea that could happen if maybe we started trying, but one of us isn't, and it's not going to get there with one person putting in work. You need to be like both invested in it together. So
Yeah.
it's hard to hear, but again, you like take emotion out of it. It's quite simple.
Yeah. Yeah. For anyone listening that you're in a relationship right now, and what Dean has just said, it's like it's spot on. You could sit there and wait forever, and nothing ever changes, and just put yourself through this chaos and this hurt for no fucking reason, other than you're too scared to change. It's like so many people are actually scared of they're so used to a familiar hell that they would prefer that because it's safe and it's known, rather than going to an unknown heaven that's right there. If they just took that change and took that leap, which is big, man. Like a lot of people just need to do that.
People don't want to be lonely.
Yeah.
Everyone's so lonely at the moment, and it's easy to be because you've so connected with social media and everything else. It's perceived that you've got so many friends and all these other things, but people are lonely. Like people are really lonely, and when you do hold on to someone that makes you feel a little bit less lonely, you don't want to let go of it, and you'd rather drag yourself through hell for an extended period of time to hold on to that connection and not have that loneliness. But it's like you're better off being alone and feeling that for a little bit and having a good rest of your life than just being numb and not fulfilled for a short amount of time.
Yeah, big time, bro. I'd love to step into a part I call Topics with the Tech. Basically, it's 10 questions where you can just pump out value for the listener. They could be as quick fire as you want, or if you can go deeper if you like. I can tell you like to go deep, which is great. So I'll just ask these away, bro. You ready for these ones?
Let's go.
Cool. So in downhill racing, every split-second decision matters. How has that experience shaped the way you approach critical decisions in your business and creative life now?
I think you've got to think on your feet, and you've got to be able to pivot, and you've got to realize that things are going to change, things out of your control, and there's no point crying about it. There's no point sulking about it. It's like, all right, this is what's happening now. Let's deal with it. How can we best deal with this situation and keep moving forward? So don't panic, just keep going.
Is there anything that's happened recently for you that you've had to overcome?
Not massive, but there's like, I don't know, people pull out of things.
Yeah.
Things change, other studios open. You're constantly like looking at different ways of marketing yourself and what hits and how you can reinvent yourself and make yourself different from other people. And yeah, there's always change. There's always things you need to come up with. It's like you're in a creative space. You've got to be creative. You're trying to pull creatives in. It's like, how do you do that? So I guess you're always balancing that to a certain degree. And like with racing, like, man, the amount of times I'll be at the top of my run about to drop into a track that's been dry all week and it'll start pissing down rain. Like, you got to think on your feet. And same with this, same with anything. Like, stuff will come out of nowhere, and it's trying not to don't be so reactive to it. I always tell people you don't know if it's a good or a bad thing till it plays out, and it plays out when you die. So when something happens, no matter how bad it might seem in the moment, it could be better later, just let it play out and don't be so reactive to it. Like, yeah, it's going to create an emotion. Feel the emotion, but go, hey, maybe this was a good thing. We don't know yet. Let it play out.
Yeah, awesome. Do you find that you're able to remove emotion from business pretty well?
Yeah, pretty well. It doesn't, like, you get caught up on some stuff, man, but it's like, you've been a professional athlete at the very top of your sport and injuries are prone, you're dealing on a team with different language, you're traveling, you're jet lagged, like, man, you want stress. My whole career got nailed down to, I raced for a total of like 27 minutes a year. Was like my total race time.
Fuck.
So my whole livelihood was built off 27 minutes. So and that's within racing in like, I don't know, 7, 8 different countries around the world. So you train for 6 months, you travel for 4 months, you go to 8 countries and you race for 27 minutes. So you want pressure, you want like, fuck, let's go, like time to perform, like that will create that for you. So now going into a business where it's like, still obviously you got some nerves and stuff and you want things to go well, but
it's nothing compared to that.
Nothing compared to it, man. Like, that's one thing I do this and I don't know, it just doesn't seem that stressful. It's like, you just deal with it if it comes. If it's like financially, it's like figure out a way to do it better. If you can't do it better, it's like you realize, again, it comes back to when you get really hurt or your health goes and you're really injured, you realize what's important. And it's like, obviously I want this to go well and my business to do well and everything to do well, but if it's not going the way you'd hope it is going to go, figure out ways to make it better. But don't get so caught up and stressed and angry and upset about it all. It's like, that's not going to help you progress in this field or your life. It's like, again, what ladders do I need to add to my game to make this go better, instead of looking at what ladders you can have instead of all these snakes that you could also remove. It's like, oh, this is happening and boo-hoo and all this shit. And it's like, you play that victim, you're like, poor me. And it's like, oh, fuck, man, you live in Australia on the Gold Coast, living your best life. Like, it's all good, man. It's like, it's all good. And no matter what situation you're in, I guaranteed that you would be able to pull out at least 3 things that you're super grateful for that is going amazing in your life. And like, okay, well, that's something to start. That's a base. Let's start with those and let's work our way forward. But I know even when I had my injury, my spinal cord injury, I started to fall down that path of being a victim and like boo-hoo. And then everyone started to relay to me that it was like, oh, you should be angry and you should be this because like, fuck, you got a shit hand of cards and all this. And I started to feed into that, and I caught myself and I was like, I don't want to be that person that is defined by an injury, and because I got an injury, I can just piggyback off that and go, well, yeah, of course I had a shit go. No wonder I'm not as healthy anymore. No wonder I don't go to the gym as much. Because everyone will understand, man, spinal cord injury. It's like your get out of jail free card. Like, as sad as it might be, and like I know I was lucky enough to not be affected as bad as other people, but it's like no one gives a fuck about excuses. Like, as much as it's a good excuse, no one cares. But I definitely felt myself falling down that path of like being a victim and being okay with being a victim. And it scared me. And I was like, fuck that. I need to get back to work and need to get back to me so I can be who I know I should be.
Bro, yeah, wow. And I'm so grateful that you are doing what you're doing, because to have that mindset and that belief and that passion come over through to podcasting and what you're doing with this is amazing, because I know how much impact you're going to make. So it's fucking epic. And I'd love to add a story to that real quick, because I heard it the other day and it really landed. And I couldn't agree more. Shaquille O'Neal talked about his stepdad. His stepdad was like an army sergeant, and Shaq played like shit one game. And his dad come up to him, he's like, what's going on, boy? Like, what was with that shitty game? And Shaq was like, oh, I was stressed. It was hard. Like, I was a bit stressed about things, blah, blah, blah. And his dad took him to this like street somewhere where everyone's doing it real hard. Got out of the car and helped this like old lady that was struggling with her husband. He's like, get out of the car, come over here. Give them some money. And he asked him the question. The guy was like, oh, I'm struggling to find work. And told Shaq, call someone to get this guy a job. And it was in that moment Shaq realized like, oh, this is actual stress. Not being able to pay for food or rent or have a house. And he said from that day on, from that little moment of his stepdad putting things into perspective, he was never stressed about a game ever again, and went on to become one of the most dominant basketball players of all time. Right? So if you want to talk about the power of mindset and perspective, what you just said, bro, couldn't be more spot on. So I appreciate you saying that. It's huge.
Well, it just comes back to like, someone's got bigger problems than you, someone's had a harder life than you, and someone's doing a whole lot better with those shit cards they got dealt.
There's someone that's a whole lot dumber than you, way more successful than you right now.
100%.
Because they're just getting after it.
Yeah.
I would say that's me to a lot of other people. Like, I wouldn't say I'm intelligent. I just fucking get after it. And that pisses people off. I know it does. But I'm glad I'm pissing people off, because in that triggering moment, it's making them realize they might actually want to do something with themselves. Like I grew up with football mates. Do you think any of them like what I do? Talking about my emotions as a 6'5", 140 kilo man that's meant to be masculine.
Yeah.
Or what is true masculinity? All those things. It's like I trigger the hell out of all the boys. And I hope I do, because I know that deep down I want them to start doing this work to get better.
Yeah.
So it's like being, as you said, being okay that you're going to trigger people on your journey, because at the end of the day, maybe they'll listen to that trigger and they'll start going and doing what they actually want to do.
Yeah, exactly. When you start living to your values and doing what you want to do, it doesn't really matter what the fuck other people think, if you're not hurting anyone. But it's funny you said the thing there, like getting after it. Like my dad, he said something to me when I was younger and it just stuck with me. But he says, it doesn't matter how smart you are, it doesn't matter how strong you are, it doesn't matter where you're at in life, it matters how bad you want that thing. That will determine where you get to in life. Like, how bad do you want it, and what that want will create in terms of discipline and motivation will get you whatever you want. And once you learn how to like harness that and use that, you'll get what you want. And you'll stop messing around with all this other shit that doesn't matter. And you go, I want this thing, and it's going to keep me up at night. Because it's going to keep me up at night thinking about, like, you become obsessed with it. It becomes everything. And I really believe if you want to create something good or be the best in the world at something, you need that obsession around that. And that comes from that want. And you got to understand your why behind that want. You always ask people, like, what do you actually want? Whether it's in a relationship, whether it's in business, whether it's in a partnership, whether it's in a friendship, what do you want? And then ask yourself the 4 whys. So ask, fine, okay, I want this. Why? Okay, this. Why? Okay, that. Why? Okay, and then you get to the point where you're like, oh shit, that's actually why I want that thing. And then you figure it out. And if that then creates your why behind you that want, it's like, man, you move mountains to get that.
I love that. Yeah, it's Simon Sinek's where he said, like, any why will get you through any how. You're right, dude. Like, if you have those mornings where you don't want to get out of bed, I mean, for me personally, what I'll have to do is go, wait a second, see a technician shirt laying on the floor or something. That's why I'm getting up. Because I know my friend Nez, we had a call not long ago, and she said, I told her about a massive opportunity that I sort of glazed over. It would have been me talking at, like, a professional sports team. And I had a connection there. He gave me the opportunity. I didn't really do anything with it. Didn't send an email, media kit, nothing. She just said to me, she looked at me, she's like, Trav, how fucking dare you? And I was sort of caught off. Like, what do you mean? She's like, how dare you not show up and take that opportunity? Because your talk may have helped one of those lads. What if you not doing that talk, one of them goes and kills himself? And now it's a lot of pressure to put on me. But I know she was doing it from a good place. So now, for the last 6 months, dude, my leverage point to get up has been, if I don't drop this podcast episode tomorrow because I don't feel like it, what if that person that needed to hear it this week, because this is their last week, doesn't hear it? And then because of that laziness, they miss out on hearing something, maybe your story, and that could have helped them through their shit. So now I live based off at the moment through this, how dare you, Trav?
Do you think that's healthy to some extent, though?
No, it's not healthy. For me, personally, it is for some people.
Do you get messages like that often, though, because from people saying they're, like, at the brink and you've pulled them back?
Yeah, bro, a lot. And I can feel the emotion come up straight away because I've had a lot lately. A lot of people are struggling, man. Like, it's wild. It actually blows my mind how many people are struggling. And to think that we might post a reel or a podcast or just say something in our stories and they go, thank you so much, I needed to hear that today. Like you said before, bro, like, we live in a country that's amazing. How the fuck do we have people living on the street? How do we have people that are so addicted to drugs because they can't look at themselves in the mirror? Like, what are we even teaching each other? What sort of school system are we being raised in? What sort of society or culture are we in right now where people but you wouldn't know that they go home and they drink a carton of beer because they can't deal with the life they're living? It just makes no sense to me, bro. And as you could probably tell, this is my why. Because I was that guy. For many years. Like, anxiety for me is my core wound. It's something I heard from Cody McAuliffe, incredible coach. He said, your greatest wound is your greatest work. So my greatest wound, 100%, is anxiety and depression. They're not the thing. They're the symptom of my underlying shit that I've dealt with. But now to be able to teach people that is so fulfilling, dude. Like, I wake up every day thinking, what can I share with someone today that's going to change their life? So for me, I go, well, yeah, what Nez said, and is that healthy? It's probably not healthy to be putting myself under a lot of pressure, but I'm built for this shit, bro. I am built for this. And I'm willing to take the pressure that comes with showing up as a leader as I am, because I know if I don't, no one else will. And I'm sure you feel that sometimes too. It's like, if I don't, who will?
Yeah. Yeah.
If I don't do this, who will? Like, I don't know of many other people that have a place like this that are doing the things you're doing. And we live in the Gold Coast where there's millions of people. Or I could be wrong with that. Maybe it's hundreds of thousands, but
It's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a lot of people, right? And yet one nest exists. A podcast that I know you go deep on your podcast, like your D&M stuff is incredible.
Mm.
You actually care.
It's like you say, once you felt it, you kind of want to help others that are going through a similar thing. And even like I said that, like I got a message literally yesterday. This girl's like, "Hey, I've seen your journey and seen what you went through. I want to take my own life. Can you give me some advice?" And it's like, fuck, like I'm not a trained professional. Like I'm going to tell you what I did to get better because that's what I know. But it's like, man, you get those messages more like frequently than people would think. And it's like, man, like it's like, it's good to be able to help people. And I appreciate that people feel that I've created a space where they can be that open and vulnerable to me to ask for help. But it's still a lot.
It's a lot, bro.
It's still a lot to just be like people opening up to you about that, and like you don't want to give them the wrong advice. Like, I don't think my advice is wrong because it helped me, so I'm like it could help you, but yeah, you don't know. Like you don't know, and that's why I said before, like fuck man, a lot of people are lonely, and like that's why people hang on to these toxic relationships, family, friends, because they're lonely. Like they don't, like you talked about the nice hell over the harsh heaven.
Familiar hell over the unknown heaven.
Yeah. At least there's people in familiar hell.
Yeah.
At least you got friends there, or kind of friends, or whatever they might be, but they're still there.
Their connection.
Yeah. Like they're holding to that, man. And I get it. It's like I hate ever saying stuff from a place of like seeming like you're better. Like I get what we're saying because I've been there. I've been in those situations, but I know coming out and leaving them to do more is better for you. So it's like all of this is coming from life advice that I feel like I've felt and I've done. So it's like maybe try it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But at least try. Like you never know what is going to feel right and what's going to feel wrong unless you try it. So if you're in a place where it's like it sucks, I was like, it already sucks. So at least if you try something new and it sucks as well, then it's like, well, you haven't really gone backwards. You just tried something different. If anything, you've gone forward just for the fact you've opened up a new door and you're like, well, that doesn't work, next door. That doesn't work, next door. And eventually you probably go through a door that does.
Yeah.
Just keep opening doors.
Yeah, I love you touched on that, bro, because it would be a lot. Like for myself, being in this space now for what I do, it's you open up a certain level of capacity to hold those sort of things. So I think I've got like 15 clients at the moment, which is a lot, like a lot of one-on-one clients. It's a lot of energy. It's a lot of things to hold for people. So you learn to build the capacity, but based off what I would call it is an embodied, lived experience. You've got that. So you can share what helped you because it's like it works. I know this worked for me. As you said, maybe you can try it. Because sometimes people don't like going to like psychologists and psychiatrists because they just keep them in the shit. They just ask them questions. And look, there's a reason for that because some people aren't ready, as you said, to be pulled up out of it. And sometimes talk therapy is the best way to start. Maybe some breath work's the best way to start down on the beach. I know heaps of people doing breath work now. It's one of the best things I've ever done. Opened me up. So I agree. It's like coming from a place of, we got to remember sometimes, I'll speak for myself, that I'm coming from a place of, I know I've been there before, but I can't sit there and judge anyone else for who's there also.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, shit. That got deep. Appreciate you.
That's what we do here.
Yeah,
That's what we do. It's the room, man.
Yeah, the energy's good in here, man. The energy is good. Just so I don't take up too much of your time, bro, I will come to a last couple of questions. What's the hardest truth you've had to accept about yourself, and how has embracing that shaped who you are today?
The harshest truth about myself, that you are exactly where you are for no one else's fault but yourself. Good, bad, indifferent, you're exactly where you are because of you. And once you realize that, you realize how much power you actually have. But also, if you're not in a good spot, you're there because of you. And if you're in a great spot, you're there because of you. But you got to realize that whatever position you are currently in, that's on you. So you got to change it if you want to. If you don't want to change it, don't change it. But it's on you.
Take full responsibility, right?
Always.
Yeah, I love that. Dude, is there anything you want to share with anyone before we close out?
Man, just I guess like the overarching thing of this whole podcast was, I guess, look after yourself. Like, do the things that make you happy and that fill up your cup, and stop trying to fill up other people's cup before filling up your own. And knowing that for anyone struggling now, that it gets better, it can get a lot better. You've got to obviously surround yourself with the right people, do the things that make you feel good, put plenty of ladders in your game, and yeah, just get after it. Push yourself, like physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, like push yourself and see what comes up when you push yourself. I know recently, probably physically, I haven't been pushing myself as hard as I probably should, and I actually went for a mountain bike ride yesterday, the first time in over a year.
Shit.
And I remember I was pedaling, I just started sprinting, and I just felt like a kid again, and it just brought back a lot of old emotions that I hadn't felt for a while. And I was like, I miss this. I miss this more than I thought I would. And stuff like that, where you just need to like put yourself in the ground physically, but with a smile on your face. Stuff like that's good. So I'm going to start leaning back into that a little bit more. And I urge anyone else that is in a bit of a funk or doesn't know exactly what they need to do, just start pushing yourself in different things that you enjoy and seeing what emotions come up and see what feelings come up. And yeah, I guarantee that life will probably become a little bit, at least a little bit better from doing that. So, and also thank you for coming in and chatting and like asking good questions and being a good interviewer. It's always good when you sit down with someone that, being on the other side, knowing what, like, okay, this flows well, this is good, this is all going really well. So I appreciate you coming in.
Appreciate you letting me use the space, bro. Like, it's obviously, for anyone listening, we were trying to figure a few things out here and there, and it's ended up working out perfectly. So well said on that too, man. I think reconnecting with your inner child, guys, please do it more. Like, for me, I'll share what I was going to share with you before, bro. What came up this morning with my coach, she made me realize that in my business and in a lot of other areas of my life, the football version of Trav was still playing out. And I used to be a player of impact. Come on the field, make a few big hits, score a couple of tries, those sort of things. He was still playing out in most of my life in the way of business. So it's like, quick, sprint, let's get clients. Oh, now I'm at capacity. Shit, pull back. Don't get any more clients. And I was like cock-blocking myself in so many different ways and self-sabotaging, because he had this belief deep down that I had to live life the same way I played football. And for some reason, that was an unconscious belief I had playing out. And I didn't realize that where I'd pulled up for the session with my coach was right in front of a football field. So I got out, and this is rugby league, by the way, if you didn't tell by the look of my body. But I got out, walked onto the football field, and dude, as soon as I put my foot on the fucking field, it was like this energy thing just went straight through my body. I started crying like instantly, and it brought back so many cool memories of a sport I'd told myself I despised. And I realized football gave me everything. Because if I didn't go through the shit I went through, if I didn't quit at 17, I wouldn't have gone through the path of destruction I did for the next 10 years. I wouldn't be the man I am today to help people. Football gave me everything. And today, I remembered that. And it was like this huge healing moment. So now for the first time, probably in 17 years, like I'm 34, and this is probably the first time I feel truly present in my body. And it's not like I need to be doing something more. What's the next thing? What do I need to go do? Because I've remembered that I am enough already. I've done enough. I don't need to do more tackles. I don't need to score more tries. I'm good where I'm at. And it feels nice.
That's epic, bro. Love that.
Yeah, so it's really cool that you had that moment yesterday with getting back on the bike. I can only imagine what was running through your body and like how it felt and just how energized you felt. But I say to anyone, it's like reconnect with the little boy and the little girl as often as you can, because we're pretty much just a bunch of kids fucking trying to figure it out. Like I'm a big kid, bro. Like I still game. I'm a dork. Like I love superheroes and things like that, and I'll never change that. And I don't think anyone else should.
No, hold on to it for as long as you can.
100%.
Feels right. Run with it.
Pull some Peter Pan shit if you need to.
Yeah.
You know?
But I think it's also knowing yourself enough to know when, like, people are always like, when are you going to get back on the bike? When are you going to get back in the bike? And I was like, I don't know. When I want to.
Yeah.
Like, when it feels right. I wasn't like, people like, are you nervous or scared? I was like, not at all. Like, not even a little bit, but I don't feel like going for a bike ride right now. I'd rather do other stuff. And it's like, that's so bizarre to people because like I did it for 17 years, every day pretty much for 17 years. And then I had my accident and I was like, well, I was retiring anyway, so I don't need to do it. So I just had a year and a bit off and I went for a ride. I'm probably going to do a race in January down in Victoria. And
Epic.
even that, when I went for a ride yesterday, I'm like, when I go to that race in Victoria, I'm going to still try and win. There's no fucking way I'm going there just to show up. Like, I'm going to try and win that race still. And I'm like, I always think about storylines. And I was like, has a spinal cord injury, takes a year off riding, comes back to do a race, wins it. That's a cool story. Let's do that.
Yeah.
And like there'll be like guys racing that are quite fast still. So I'm like, it's not going to be like an easy feat, but like I'm still a racer and I still want to have fun and enjoy it. So I definitely know going down to that. Just I love a good storyline, and I'm like, winning that is a cool story. So we're gonna have a fair crack at it, I reckon.
That is sick. I want to like put that out there to the universe and just let that happen, because I agree. I love stories, and one of my favorite athletes of all time is Derrick Rose. And I remember in his MVP speech, he said, "Why not?" Because I was saying like he's the youngest MVP of all time, and he just said to himself every day, "Is like, why not? Why can't I be the youngest MVP? Why can't I do this?" Because we have, like you said before, bro. I think you said it's like everything's been done before. Everything's already been done. Everything's already been said. All these things, but at the end of the day, it's like what works for someone else might not work for us. But figure out what's fucking useful for you. Breathwork might not be for you. Cool. Try something else. What works for you? What's useful for you?
Yeah, we're all different.
Dude, there's too many gurus getting around now. I got to do my best not to be like the technician knows. Like, I share information, tools, tips, and tactics for people to utilize in their own ways.
Yeah, full disclosure, I know fuck all, but this has worked for me.
Yeah, bro, 100%.
The school of life, this has worked for me, and it could work for you, but like, I don't have a degree. Yeah. I haven't studied this stuff. I've just lived life, and I've lived a lot of different lives. Like I was talking to a friend about this, the fact that like I've been the sad kid, I've been the depressed kid, I've been the fat kid, I've been the popular kid, I've been the unpopular kid, I've been the athlete, I've been all these different people, I've been the outcast, I've been the loner, I've been like you play all these different roles and you get all these different perspectives of how to play that role and how people treat you and how you treat other people. And you go through life and I feel like I've become a bit of a chameleon that I can blend into most situations because I've felt so many different ways around different people and I've experienced so many cultures around the world and countries, and I've seen how life can be different and how it doesn't mean it's good or bad, it's just different. And I feel like I can slot into different groups of people and situations and have conversations with different people and not carry with it a bias or an opinion, but just listen and actually give the person the room to feel safe enough to actually say what they would need to say, because it's like, no matter what you say, it's like, it's you. This is you. I don't need to judge you for being you. I just need to let you speak it. And if I disagree or do agree, I'll question it. I'll be curious. I'll ask things about it, but I don't need to rip into you because it's not the same opinion as me. It's just like, let it go.
Couldn't agree more, bro. Because there's always like, we can easily give an opinion on everything, but end of the day, like you said, what's the fucking point sometimes?
Doesn't matter.
Everyone's got different stories. Let them be heard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, beautiful, man. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for giving me your time. Like, I've really enjoyed this conversation. And for anyone listening, I spoke to both my coaches today. One's a business coach, one's a personal development. And they both said, it's like, Trav, how can you build a community? And I want anyone listening right now, like I've said it before and I'll say it again, I might be the technician, but I want you to be a technician. With Dean and myself, guests like Dean, like we can only do so much, but we want you to be a part of this. This is a community thing. How can we rewire mind, body, and soul of our culture together? Please share it. Tag myself and Dean if you need to. The Nest, shout out to the Nest Burley. If anyone wants to start a podcast and do things like what we do, please do it. I want more podcasters out there. When you're on a mission, there's no competition. Like, it's just is what it is, man. So I want to, if you're listening right now and you're afraid of speaking into it, keep in mind, my first episode, I nearly fucking vomited. I think I recorded it like 20 times and deleted it. And it's like, I can't do this. And as soon as the first one was done, just kept rolling. So please share. Let us know how it went. Let's do this together. Much love, bro. Thank you.
Appreciate you, brother.
Peace. Holy.
Nice, bro.